Now, guys, today's tragic case is one that will make you understand why you need to be careful with those around you, most especially those you call neighbors. It was on the 4th of March 2025 at around 9:30 p.m., barely a day into the start of the Lenten fast, when Reverend Father Sylvester Okechukwu, the parish priest of the Church of St. Mary, Tachira, a community in Kaura local government area of Kaduna State, heard loud bangs at the gates of the parish house. This was suspicious to him, as by that time, most residents of the sleepy community were either fast asleep or were preparing to retire for the night, and to complicate matters, the night guard was nowhere to be found. So cautiously he approached the front door to see who could be knocking so furiously by that time of the night. Little did he know that that move would be one he would forever regret. As soon as he stepped out of the front door, he was greeted by a sight that would make any man scared. 6 heavily armed men had made their way into the compound and fired warning shots into the night sky. Fearing the worst, Reverend Father Sylvester tried to escape in an attempt to run through the back door, but unfortunately, he was captured by one of the assailants who was stationed at the back of the house. It was obvious this was a kidnap attempt, which was not unheard of, as the state has been grappling with widespread cases of kidnap for ransom over the years. Also, Reverend Sylvester himself had escaped 2 previous kidnap attempts, but this time he wasn't so lucky. With the Reverend now in their custody, the kidnappers embarked on a long journey into the deep bushes. The shots they fired earlier alerted the military, who gave them a hot chase. But unfortunately, at some point, they lost them and the kidnappers made their way into the night with Reverend Father Sylvester. With the discovery that the parish priest had been kidnapped, the entire community and Christian faithful in the state and beyond were thrown into confusion and prayed fervently for the return of the kidnapped spiritual head. But as the clock ticked and time passed, their hopes turned into pain and anguish, as his lifeless body was discovered the very next day, which was Ash Wednesday, a day that was supposed to be a day of mourning in the Catholic Church, heralding the start of the 40-day Lenten period. The gruesome killing of the Reverend threw the parishioners into a deep state of mourning and hopelessness. At first, it was attributed to bandits, and the incident drew widespread condemnation from both the state, federal government, and the international community, who called on the country's leadership to do more to protect Christian faithfuls who were increasingly being targeted for kidnap. But little did they know that the mastermind of the heinous act was not some bandit from a faraway forest, but an insider who lived in the very same house as the deceased. Following credible intel and painstaking investigation by troops of Sector 7 of the Special Task Force Operation Safe Haven, they raided the hideout of the prime suspect, 33-year-old Pate Yao, at a local Fulani settlement known as Roga in Wasa Piti village, Lere local government area of Kaduna State. Yao confessed during interrogation that he was approached by one Douglas Henry, a resident in the same house as the slain priest, who brought the idea to abduct the Reverend and demand a ransom for his release, and he asked to be given the sum of 200,000 naira for bringing the deal. He claimed to have initially expressed his refusal to partake in the kidnap, but eventually succumbed to the pressure from Douglas. On the D-Day, it was Douglas himself who led the kidnappers and even stopped the deceased in his attempts to escape, although his face was covered so the Reverend wouldn't recognize him. Following this revelation, the troops arrested Douglas at Angwan Seriki, Tichira in the Kaura local government area of the state. In his confession, he admitted to being the mastermind of the kidnap of the deceased. 30-year-old Douglas not only lived with Father Sylvester, but was a keyboardist in the choir, signaling that he was a committed member of the parish. However, he had a hidden desire to become rich by any means, so it's a mystery how he could be so callous as to plan and lead the kidnap of a man who had taken care of him. He explained that he hatched the plan to kidnap Father Sylvester because he was broke and seriously in need of 200,000 naira. So he approached some of his friends, namely Zachary, Pate, Yusuf, and others whose names could not be ascertained as at the time of compiling this story. However, the reason why the Reverend was killed by the gang still remains a mystery that the authorities need to unravel. Father Sylvester was described as a dedicated servant of God who worked selflessly in the vineyard of the Lord, spreading the message of peace, love, and hope. Father Okechukwu was always available and accessible to his parishioners. The deceased has since been buried in line with Catholic rites. Meanwhile, the military are still searching for the remaining members of the gang of killers who had since fled the state after the capture of Douglas and Pate. Although some of the perpetrators have been caught, the community and those he left behind still struggle with the pain of his death. They are hopeful that justice will be served. What are your thoughts on this tragic story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're just watching for the first time, kindly subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you know when we release new true crime stories. Till then, let's keep raising awareness and let's keep asking the hard questions. And most importantly, stay safe out there. Thank you for watching and catch you on the next one.